It's a knitting video. It's knitting with Rycrafty. Yes! And my little buddy, who is now lying on the knitting project I was going to show you. So, now what? Do you want to hear some good news? This little guy is no longer wearing the latest veterinary accessory. I know, I love you too. Snuffle, snuffle, snuff. But yeah, the cone is off as of just a few hours ago, and it's going to be on when I'm out at work for the next week, just so he doesn't scratch. Had to stop him scratching a couple times tonight, but he's been pretty good. And he was so happy to have the cone off. Weren't you? Little cone and cone head. But anyway, I have a fabulous knitting project to show you. And just let me move the dog. Oh, I know. Life is hard. There you go. I think he's sitting on my phone. Anyway, so you remember my list of projects that were in progress at the beginning of 2019. None of these, well, that's what I should have done on here. I should have put dates. But yeah, so none of these were started this year. Some were started many, many, many years ago. And as you can see, I've got one checked off. Or I decided it's half of one. Because, don't need that visual aid anymore. I wove in all the ends on my fabulous advent calendar little blanket. So this is a mitered square blanket. I think I looked at I looked at a few different patterns when I was figuring out what I wanted to do, and then I sort of made it my own. So it's mitered squares. The yarn is from the Opal Adventskalendar 2016, and I actually did most of the knitting this in December of 2016, and then I think I finished fairly soon after, maybe even in January. I did all 24. I did them in the order that they came out of the box. I opened one little window each day. The first one was, it started with this reddish one, and then went to this crazy rainbowy one, and then on that way. I really like this guy too. I would like socks in this colorway. But yeah, there. Move the dog. But yeah, so I knew the colors were going to be crazy, crazy. And some self-striping and some not, and just no matching at all. So I thought, why not? Let's just go with how they planned it out. Well, I'm not certain there was an actual plan, because I think the same 24 colors get stuffed into each box, but not necessarily behind the same door. But yeah, so I wanted something to tie it all together, tie all the colors together. And I had this little half skein of gray sock weight yarn in my stash. I think it was Unique Sheep. And I thought, well, I'll use the crazy color opal yarn, and then I'll do a little square in the corner, the end few stitches in the corner of each block. It'll all be the same size, and that'll be great. It'll tie it together. It'll be wonderful. So I did my test, and I think I cast on 96 stitches for each square. So like along there. And then with my first ball of yarn, I knit and knit and knit until I got to about 30 something stitches. And then I thought, great, this is where I will put in this pale gray yarn at 30 stitches on each square. Well, it turned out that not all of these little balls of opal yarn had the same number of yards. And when you're doing something this small, a yard or two makes a difference. So as you can see, I ended up having to start the gray a lot earlier in some squares, like this guy. There's a lot more gray in that one. And then because I started using up more gray in squares like this, I was getting worried that I wouldn't have enough to finish the blanket. So I just started using the crazy sock yarn, casting on the square, knitting the square until I ran out of sock yarn. So that you can see the difference in size in these two gray squares. Well, oh, I think this one might be the smallest one, which means this skein had the most in it. Look at how big the square is in this one. That was way shorter of a skein than this one. So it ended up being, the sizes of those squares ended up being kind of random, but I still like how the one little block pulls everything together. And I love the crazy patchworkness of it. I just love it. I've been wearing it around the house like a shawl around my shoulders. And so I've got 4 blocks by 6. And it's a good little size for my lap if my legs are tucked up under me. As I said, I can sort of wear it around my shoulders if my shoulders and neck are cold. But, so I really enjoyed doing this. I did it in the year, like it's the 2016 calendar, and I did it in 2016 mostly. So in 2017, I bought the Opal Advent calendar. And I have not used it. This giant book-shaped box has been sitting on my bookshelf, on top of my bookshelf, because none of my bookshelves are this tall, since about September 2017. Because, hot tip, if you want to order yourself one of these, do it in September, because otherwise they sell out. It'll be sold out if you wait too long. But yeah, so this is 2017 Advent calendar. I'm cracking the spine. It's probably the first time I've opened it. So I did not do anything with this in 2017. But I really want to use it all. I don't think I'll buy a 2019. I will only allow myself to buy the 2019 Opal Advent calendar if that thing is empty at the time that I buy it. So, this is a cute little size. I don't want 2 blankets this size. And I think I want to add to this blanket. And I think I'm going to do the same thing. Well, I'm going to have have the squares the same size. I'm going to do the same thing with a different color of yarn. I think I have a darker gray. So I think I'm going to pull something from Stash, and I think I have a darker gray that I should have enough of for the little squares. But my dilemma is what to do with it. So originally, so this is 4 by 6. Originally, I thought I could do a border of the next year's squares. I drew diagrams. So you can see I've got 25 or 24. The pink is original. 4 by 6 is 24. And then a 1 square border all the way around is actually also 24. So I think that would be pretty cool to have like this original blanket in the middle, and then the next year's with the darker gray little calendar corners around the outside. I think that would be pretty cool. The problem with this though is, well, first I have to choose somewhere to start. And then I would want all these little calendar corners to match up because I'm like that. And I was looking at it and I was trying to figure it out, and it would mean a lot more knitting the squares and then sewing them to the blanket, whereas this mitered square blanket that I already have, I knit them onto each other, so there was no actual, well, there were a ton of ends to weave in because my extra color block doubled the number of ends, which was already 48, so now I had 96 ends to weave in, which is why it took me 3 years. 2 years. Right. So to get this bottom thing, I would have to knit all these and then seam it to the blanket. And then going up along here, okay, I'd be able to pick up this side of each mitered square. The top, this part, I can knit on, This strip I could not knit on, so it would be like I could knit half of it onto the blanket and then the other half I would have to seam together. And I'm not sure about that. But then again, I'm also not sure how much I like the second option, which is just knit another blanket and then seam them together when I'm done. And that ends up with the same size blanket as this, 6 by 8. But they're sort of side by side. And I don't know which I like better. I mean, I guess I like the idea of this one, where keeping the ears together. I mean, what if they repeat colors? What if they repeat colors and I'm doing this one and like the same colors match up beside each other? I wouldn't like that. But I really want to do this blanket. I haven't looked at the stash yet for the gray yarn. I think I have, but I will find something. And I'm enjoying the little blanket as it is. I think it will be so much more fun when it's a huge crazy color patchwork blanket. It's like the rainbow blanket of many colors. And then I thought, just as a treat and like to get me excited about knitting another 1,000 and something meter blanket, I'm gonna find door number 1 and show you what's behind door number 1 if I can find it. Also, this does not need to be this big. I thought the first year's was big. It was sort of a cube shaped thing that was about as big as Conan. I think I took a picture of them together. This thing is enormous, although the book thing is pretty cool. Okay, story time. Behind door number 1. Ooh, I like that one. It's sort of got those fiery colors of orange going to yellow, and then a green, and then a fun purple, and I don't think that's in here. One. Good so far. But yeah, these little skeins, they're 15 grams each. They say they're 63 meters. I think they're between 60 and 63 meters. Yeah, these little skeins don't have numbers on them. So I think I'm going to put this back in door number 1. Oh, there are more colors? Oh, I think there's a blue too. And it's got a little snowman on the label. But yeah, I remember what I did with this guy was I knit some of it here. And at that point I was just going door by door and pulling them out. And then it was Christmas and I went to visit my parents and I didn't want to bring the stupid cube thing. So I pulled them all out of their doors, but as I did, I numbered them. So I knew which one was the next one. Because I liked the crazy patchworkness of it, and I also didn't want to give myself the chance of like pulling them all out and arranging them and spending 2 weeks trying to find the most perfect arrangement of all the colors. And I decided to let it go with the flow, and I really liked what I got out of that. So I think I'm going to follow that strategy. But yeah, I'm thinking option number 2, but if you really like option number 1, or if you have any advice as to which one to choose, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear what you think and see what you think about my crazy blanket. I love it so much. It's patchworky and cozy and homey, fun. I think it's perfect. And it's already got dog hair in it. Might be dog hair from years ago. Who knows? But yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll have some luck finding a solid color in my stash, and maybe I will even start Crazy Blanket number 2, which is technically on the things to do this year list, even though it's pretty much the only thing on this list that isn't already started, and maybe I should finish something that has been started, but maybe I just want to start yet another crazy blanket project. Thanks. Bye.